everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Two Page Tuesday. I'm going to scrapbook these 6 photos, and I'm going to use background paper that is actually 2 different sheets of paper. I like to do that sometimes when I'm doing a 2-page layout, just because it seems to give it a little bit of a different feel from side to side. I think it makes it more interesting. Although I will tell you, it's a challenge sometimes to try to get those pieces to coordinate. So I'm using that red, like cookie background paper. It's from American Crafts Peppermint Express, which is a few years old. So not only am I doing a 2-page layout today, but I am also using some older supplies here and Christmas supplies, which is really nice today because in the day I'm narrating this, it's 90 degrees in my neck of the woods. And then I'm using that, on the right side, I'm using that multi-diagonal stripe paper from Elle's Studio Joyful, and it's called Making a List. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this aqua colored paper to bring the layout together across the space of the 2 pages. And I like to do that instead of necessarily doing it with my background paper, which you can, of course, do that as well. I often like to do it with the paper that I'm, quote, matting the photos on. So that aqua polka dot paper is from Elle's Studio Joyful, and the paper is called Warm and Cozy. And I'm just measuring here. I don't always measure, but I definitely wanted to measure the vertical measurement there because I'm going to want that measurement to be the same from side to side. So I have that down, and now I'm just looking at how I'm going to place those photos, making sure that they kind of will sit together. So I have that down, and then I have that wood veneer piece called that says 'Tis the Season. And that is from Michael's from the Recollections. It's from a Christmas collection that's a couple of years old, at least 2 or 3 years old. So it's not like you can go there and get it today, but you know, you can use any wood veneer. And I liked that because it's going to help take up some of the visual space. The other thing I liked about it is that the red cookie paper has kind of a white background to it, and then the stripe paper has more of a creamy colored background. So not only am I doing 2 different pieces of paper here, but I'm doing 2 different pieces of paper with a different underlying color to them. A lot of times I won't mix white and cream, but I'm going to do it on this layout. And that wood veneer and some of the other colors in here are going to help me do that. So I found the little like gift labels and the little snowman card there are that color as well too. So I'm going to use that all to help bring things together. Plus that 4x6 card is white. So I'm using all of that to my advantage to pull the layout together and to combine cream and white on the same layout, which most of us won't attempt that. I was feeling pretty sassy the day that I made this because I made a 2-page layout. I put 6 photos on it, and I combined cream and white. So, and used some pretty old supplies as well too. I love that, especially with the Christmas things, because I want to buy new Christmas every year, but I don't always need to do it. So I really am working on, I did this with all the photos I scrapped. This is my last Christmas photos that I needed to scrap. But all the other photos I did, I used my current, I'm trying to think, my current collections, but then I also went back and really dug into my old stash to try to get some of that used, because when I do my December daily this year, I can guarantee you I'm going to want to buy some new supplies. All right, so I have the left side of the layout done, and now I'm looking at how I'm going to handle the right side. Or it's not done, but at least the structure of it is done. And what I'm doing there is I'm using that journaling card in place of another photo. You definitely could actually get, you know, you can make this a 7-photo layout or even an 8-photo layout if you used a smaller layout under the one vertical photo. And I kind of like that vertical photo there. It's not exactly in order with everything else, but I think it just does a nice job of being something surprising. All the other photos are kind of in order as to where they occurred, but that one is a little bit different, something just a little bit different on the layout. And I like to do that so that the layouts aren't, you can mirror 2-page layouts from side to side, but a lot of times I like to throw something a little bit surprising in them just so that it's not an exact mirror. And that's what I'm doing here. So I also, from side to side, the paper on the right, that polka dot paper on the right, is a little bit shorter than in width than the paper on the left. So that's another way that these are just a little bit different. Gives you a little bit more space for your eye to rest. And I'm just butting those two pieces up to make sure that they get on the same kind of page here, or that they're across from each other. I store my layouts in 12 by 12 ring binders, D-ring binders. So even if I don't match completely, you will not see that. But I still like to make sure that I'm as close as I possibly can get as I'm doing this. So now I'm just playing around a little bit with how that little 3x4 card's going to sit. It says, "Warmest Christmas wishes to you and your family." And that is from an Old October Afternoon collection. I have no idea how old that is. The same is true with that little gift tag Santa card there on the left that I'm playing with at the moment. They're both from October Afternoon, but they are ages and ages old. They're probably 5 or 6 years old. So now I have quite a bit of that light color. I'm looking at it as like a, a manila color, an off-white color. And I wanted to do something with that color on the top, and one of the easiest ways, again, is to bring that wood back in again. It's a texture that's already occurring on the layout in that 'Tis the Season. So I'm going to bring it back in with these two Elle Studio pieces, and that is the tab there, and then that ho 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 there. And those I don't remember what collection. I've mixed my pieces up from those collections now. It's probably Joyful or Good Cheer, but it could be something else as well too, just so you know that. And I didn't want that to be a speech bubble, so this wood veneer is thin enough that I can actually cut it with my scissors. So that's kind of a little tip for you. If you have wood veneers and you don't exactly like the shape, you might want to try to cut them. And I'm just taking my vintage photo ink there, because when I cut it, the distressing that was on the edges of that piece were not on the spot where I cut it. So, it blends in a little bit more, so it doesn't stand out. It doesn't look like I cut something. I think if you knew I did, you would be able to see it, but most people are not going to know that. So I'm just playing with this tag a little bit. I thought about dropping it down, but that would have created like a trapped white space between the tag and the photo cluster, so that went back up there. And now I have just a really nice, there's 3 spots of wood on the left side, or not wood, but 3 spots of that off-white color on the left side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the right side in just a minute. I've taken that tree, and that also is from Elle Studio, and added it up to the cards there. That just helped hide a little bit where the seams of everything was not quite coming together, and I was okay with it, but I liked it better when I hid them a little bit. And then I found that snowflake, and as I was doing this, as I was putting the adhesive on it from my ATG, I actually broke it because it's so thin. I do like to use the ATG adhesive on these wood veneer pieces because I think they actually hold better than just using my Scotch Quick Dry. I'm worried about long term what the Scotch Quick Dry will do, if it'll really hold or if those will drop off eventually, which I don't think the ATG will have that problem. But so I just kind of put it back on and played around with it a little bit so that it would sit properly. Now I want to add a few more things into these clusters. I want to add something up by the ho 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 there. So I'm kind of looking to figure out, I like the idea of adding some red into that cluster. And I'm looking through my pieces from Elle Studio Joyful here. to see if I can find anything. I'm kind of playing with that little heart. I thought about that star. Neither one of these two is actually going to end up on the layout, however. I don't want to add a ton more to this. I find that when I have so many photos going on that I really like to keep the embellishing more to a minimum. Now, some of you might not exactly think this is a minimum, but for me, it is. So I just found this tag in my collection of Elle's Studio pieces, and I'm showing you this, I was pointing to this, that green on the top left by the ho ho ho, that little label, echoes the green in that Tradition 4x6 cards. So it's a nice way to bring that color in across the layout because there wasn't anything that was green yet. So I'm going to do something else so that I end up with 3 spots of green on here. All right, so I'm still looking and thinking I want some more embellishing on this, but I'm still not quite sure what that is. I want a little bit more color brought in to the embellishment because right now a lot of the embellishment is basically just wood or off-white. So I was going through my enamel dots and I found these wood buttons from Chamel from her Christmas Magic collection, and I have 2 of them left and I'm so proud of myself. I'm going to use them both. So I have that one, which is a red diagonal stripe, and I just made those stripes go in the same diagonal that the stripes are going on the other page, just so they don't fight each other. And I found that ornament, which is kind of a turquoise color, which works with the turquoise of the background paper, that I'm going to just put on the tree. Kind of funny. So now I have a different shape in here too. I have a round shape, which I really like because I did have that round shape in the snowflake. So now I have a triangle of 3 round shapes that kind of helps lead your eye across the layout. And then what I'm doing now is I'm just using my October Afternoon Pop Drops from under the tree. Again, they're called Pop Drops, which I love that name. And I'm just bringing colors in. So I'm bringing in some red hearts here to pull in the red on the diagonal pieces there. And I have some green as well. I'm going to pop a little green there to pop some green into this layout just a little bit more. And I have a little green piece over there to bring that into that label, and also up to the ho 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 as well. And then I'm going to add one more thing. I'll add a little blue heart into that by the Santa tag there. I'll add that in just to get a little bit more of the blue in another texture. So, and that might actually occur after I'm all done. I don't remember for sure. But look for that. I have quite a few detail shots at the end of this. So now really all I need to do is do a little bit of journaling here, and I'm going to put the date on this piece up there. And then I'm going to just put the names, last names of the people who are appearing in this layout. And then I also journaled on the card after I was done. So here's the still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you're all well, and I'll be back with another layout again soon. Bye!